this next example. So again, if we look at our steps, first we're asked to apply the distributive property. That is not applicable here. There are no parentheses. So then we have to find the LCD. Okay, so remember I said in the last example that a lot of people get obsessed and take a lot of time to find the LCD. So the LCD in this problem is 15. Why is it 15? Well, because 15 divided by 15 is 1, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 15 is the smallest number that is easily divisible by both 5 and 15. Okay, so I want to make a note here that the LCD is 15. Okay, now a common denominator, not the smallest one, but a common denominator, and this will always work, is to simply multiply 5 times 15, and that gives you a number that will still eradicate all of your fractions. So if you have a difficult time finding your LCD, finding the smallest number that's going to get rid of your fractions, then don't waste your time, right? It's not worth it. So let's try just multiplying by the CD instead of the LCD, just a common denominator, not the smallest one, and see if we can still get the right answer, okay? So 5 times 15 is 75. Okay, and again, if you get confused multiplying fractions by whole numbers, you can just write this as 75 over 1, and that can help you not get confused. All right, let's see. So we have 8/5 equals 16 over 15. So it might look a little bit weird the way I wrote it. I'm just trying to leave myself some space. Okay, so I multiply 2x by 75. I multiply negative 8/5 by 75, or remember 75 over 1. If that is a thing that is helpful to you, you can absolutely do that. Okay, you can write it as 75 over 1. All right, so let's clean this thing up. So if 75 times 2x, 75 times 2 is 150. So we have 150x. Now here I have some options. I could do 8 times 75 and then divide by 5. Or if I want to, I could do 75 divided by 5 first. So that's 15. And then I could multiply. Again, it's totally up to you, whatever you're more comfortable doing. Okay, so this gives me negative 120. Again, over here, 75 divided by 15. I have the freedom to divide first before I multiply. That would give me 5. 16 times 5 is 80. Okay, again, you could multiply it out first. You can take more steps to get these answers if you're more comfortable doing that. It's totally up to you. Okay, so we did this. Notice that at this step, just by doing that one step, we have gotten rid of all of our fractions. Okay, so now we're going to need to combine our like terms. Notice that 150x and negative 120 are not like terms, so there's not much we can do there. Also, I'm going to draw this line because I didn't draw it earlier. So we need to get all the variable terms on one side of the equation. We've already done that. There's only one variable term. So then we need to get all of the constants, the non-variable terms, on the other side. So that means that we need to add 120. Oops, oh no, I had to undo that. Okay, so we're going to add 120 to both sides of the equation. So we have 150x equals 200. So then, last step, right, is to isolate our variable. So we divide both sides by 150. Remember, 200 over 150 is literally, you can type it in your calculator as 200 divided by 150. And so if you do that, right, it's 20 over 15. And so how can I further reduce that? Well, 5 goes into both things, so that becomes 4 over 3. Okay, so the final answer is x equals 4/3. So now we need to check our work. So I'm going to erase this stuff up here so I have a little bit of room to work. So we have 2 times 4/3 minus 8 over 5 equals 16 over 15. So remember 2 is the same as 2 over 1. So this is 8 over 3 minus 8 over 5 equals 16 over 15. So at this point, you are going to have to remember how to subtract fractions. And unfortunately, the easiest way to do this is to get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply 8 over 3 by 5 over 5. I'm going to multiply 8 over 5 by 3 over 3. So this becomes 40 over 15 minus 24 over 15. And sure enough, 40 minus 24 is 16 over 15. All right, let's do another problem. All right, number 5 says y over 6 plus y over 3 equals 8 over 5. Okay, again, in this problem, there is not an opportunity to apply the distributive property, so we're going to find the LCD. Okay, so the LCD, the least common denominator, is actually 30. Okay, and we can absolutely use that and multiply by it. But if you want a shortcut, you don't want to spend 5 minutes just figuring out what is the least common denominator. Remember, a common denominator will work. So you could have 6 times 3 times 5, and that is, oops, why did that happen? And that will give you 90. Okay, so I'm going to use this way. Again, if you want to use 30, that will also work. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to multiply every single term on both sides of the equation by 90. So we have y over 6 plus y over 3 equals 8 over 5. Okay, so we're multiplying by 90, 90, 90. Okay, and again, if this confuses you, you can rewrite it as 90 over 1. Okay, so I want to give you guys options here. For me personally, I like to divide first and then multiply. You certainly don't have to do it that way, but it will save time. Okay, so 90 divided by 6 is 15, so this gives me 15y. 90 divided by 3 is 30, so this gives me 30y. Okay, 90 divided by 5 is 18, and then 18 times 8 is 144. Okay, so 15 plus 30 is 45, so we have 45y equals 144. Okay, so going back to our steps, right, I multiplied by the LCD, right, this is step 3, then I combined my like terms, right, and then I didn't need to move my variables or the constants, so now we're just down at step 7, which is to isolate the variable. Okay, so we're going to isolate our variable by dividing by 45. Okay, so unfortunately, remember, we do have to reduce this. Okay, so what goes into both 144 and 45? Well, one thing that I notice will go into both things is a 3. So let's just try dividing the top and the bottom by 3 and see what happens. Okay, so 144 divided by 3 is 48. Okay, and 45 divided by 3 is 15. Okay, you might notice that they still have something in common. They can still both get divided by 3. So 48 divided by 3 is 16. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, so our final answer is 16 over 5. So let's look at how we would check that problem. So y is 16 over 5, so we would have 16 over 5 divided by 6 plus 16 over 5 divided by 3 equals 8 over 5. So now we're into compound fractions. So dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Again, this is prerequisite material that you might have forgotten. I will post videos to help you remember this, but ultimately this is unfortunately stuff that you should know before coming to the class. Okay, so we have 16 over 30 plus 16 over 15 equals 8 over 5. Okay, so before I can add 16 over 30 and 16 over 15, I need them to have a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply 16 over 15 by 2 over 2. That gives me 32 over 30. Okay, and the reason I'm not really bothering with the other side is because I think I can reduce the left side fraction before I have to really do anything else. So 16 plus 32 is 48 over 30. Okay, so what goes into both 48 and 30? Well, 6 goes into both things. So 48 divided by 6 is 8. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Okay, so lo and behold, you get 8/5 is equal to 8/5, and it checks out. Okay, and again, to fully understand this, you might need to watch some videos that review how to work with compound fractions.